How's your new boyfriend?
He's good.
Yeah, that's
he's
a
really
new life
good.
change, right?
He's on his way.
Yeah,
Really?
he's coming here tonight.
That's wonderful.
I adore him.
That's good. Yeah. Was that how new is that? I don't know if I've been keeping up super, but mediumly new, right?
It's been like since January.
Oh, that's a while.
Yeah, but we dated in middle school.
Right.
Yeah, now we're back. So
Full
it's
circle.
good.
That's happy.
Full circle.
And we were
It
talking
is.
off the mics. You have 3 years sobriety. We'll get into that, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in it because actually one of my best friends, like basically my brother, is he just got his 5 years, and I gave him his coin at his ceremony, and it was like really awesome. And I'm very like in his life, and so I like keep up with all the stuff he does, and
Super cool.
so I got a lot of love for the sober people
Me too.
and respect.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Tons of
Thanks.
respect.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And maybe we'll dive in deeper. But all right, that's wonderful. So now we're all warm up. You feel loose and goose.
Yeah, feeling
Loose
good.
and goose.
So okay, so people probably watching that know us, like Blake here, know
Hi,
that
Blake.
we know the story. But people who don't know, we all know each other pretty well. I'd say we went to
Yeah.
boarding school together,
Mm-hmm.
high school, which was like a rite of
Mhm.
passage. A lot of people outside like the boarding school world, that you've probably talked to people like, what is boarding school? It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Tons.
But so that makes people really close. Even though I'm older than you,
right.
your older sister who's in my grade,
Yeah.
everyone's friends with everyone, and so we have, huh?
ELE.
What's that?
Everybody loves
Oh,
everybody.
everybody loves everyone,
Yeah,
but everyone's like
exactly.
really weirdly close, and especially the people you stay close with. It's like you're close forever. I feel like like
Agreed.
growing up in that situation together, being young and hormonal and crazy. It's like
Totally.
Yeah, it's
And
a
You
so-
grow
bond.
up together.
right. So all I'm gonna say is we know each other pretty well, but
So
also the spawn of Cozy But Anxious, which we're gonna talk about, which is your brand company, but through your friendship and wonderful relationship and perhaps paralleled feeling of anxiety or conflicting emotions spawned this almost comical and humorous phrase, Cozy But Anxious, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
How am I doing?
Great.
And now it's your brand and a platform to talk about mental health, talk about your personal experience. You sell clothing.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's
spot
awesome.
on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you want to add to that little elevator pitch of what Cozy But Anxious is?
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you said
For
it all.
people?
But
Yeah.
I think that like Annie and I have always like understood each other on a deep level when it
Mhm.
comes to feelings of discomfort. Like it's hard to get vulnerable with people. And I feel like our friendship, we've always given each other the space to do that.
Mhm.
And so when the pandemic started, it was like extremely cozy but anxious in terms of like everyone was like super stoked thinking that it was going to be 2 weeks. Like,
right.
I mean, obviously it was an extremely scary time, a sad time, which is the anxiety portion of that. But also too, people like not going to their 9 to 5 and going into the office or whatever the situation was, you got to work from home. So you're like in your pajamas, comfortable,
Mhm.
but like you really think that the world is ending.
Metaphorically and literally
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was really fucking scary,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so
We
right
can't swear.
before that, sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Oh my
That's the
god.
internet,
I
baby.
was like, really? Because that's the only word I ever
we're-
really
We're
use.
good.
Um,
No rules.
Thank God.
but when the month before that was my birthday, and
Mm.
Annie had given me a sweatshirt with the phrase "cozy but anxious"
That's
on
so
it.
wonderful.
It was.
And-
It was a great surprise. Supposed to be a surprise, and she opened it
Yeah, have you
before
heard
I
this
got
story?
there.
Oh no, I haven't.
So Annie's mom came to New York, took me out to lunch for my birthday, and gave me this like package, and was like, "Do not open it."
Oh,
Like,
Until
strict
Annie got
instructions.
until
Yeah.
Annie gets there, wait till your birthday, whatever. I'm like, okay, I promise. Thanks, swear. I
Opened
literally
it in
get
the
home.
Uber.
I get home. I've opened the package, seen what it is. know that it's this embroidered Cozy But Anxious sweatshirt. Literally tape up the box.
Oh, try to like fake a.
Yeah, and then Annie comes in like,
And
I'm
you
like,
just told me like last week. This
Yeah,
was a
literally
year
just
ago
admitted it.
that she had
wow, that's
opened
hilarious.
it.
Wow,
I
so
was
you
like,
kept
are you
it.
kidding?
Wow.
no, I was
that's
like,
funny.
no, so it's my birthday. I opened it. I was like, oh my God, this is so dope. Like, I
Yeah.
love you. Thank you.
And
all
so
this
because
stuff.
the phrase "cozy but anxious" was coined at boarding school, right? Or like
Yeah.
you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this was
throughout
almost
my
like a
time period.
just a friendship thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Inside joke. I don't know. And then you're like, you know what? Let's keep talking about it. Pandemic slashes our faces, and we're like, let's.
Right.
And we were like, it's so going back to that sweatshirt, the original one that she got me for my
Right.
birthday, I posted something on my personal Instagram.
Mhm.
And a lot of people replied to it being like, oh my God, this is so funny. Where did you get it? Thinking that it was like,
Right.
you could go and buy it.
Yeah.
And I said like, oh, Annie, you know, it's a birthday gift, whatever. So she like custom made it. And then the pandemic hit and we were like, we could really make this into something. And so
Right.
we did. And
That's cool. So so that was like I want to talk about the genesis of the actual like brand after the hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, we're really feeling this.
Let's do
And it was
it.
out of nowhere. You never had inclinations like back in boarding school. People were like, oh, we should start a brand. We should start a
Never.
company.
It was
nothing.
like when it was that weekend that I gave you the sweatshirt, which was a month before COVID. It was that time we were like, this would be a good brand. Like we should actually make this a brand. Kind of didn't. We made like got the Instagram
wait,
handle.
I have something to
Didn't
share.
really talk
Bring it
about
up.
it for a while, and then we were like, okay, let's just fucking do it.
And almost maybe that there was like a vacancy of this sort of space or young adults talking about mental health or
Yeah,
super
and that
relatable
was-
young women.
exactly,
Things
and that
like
was
that.
always the idea. Was like, okay, we could make this into something where we're selling sweatshirts,
look
but
at
we're
this.
also talking about mental health
Right.
and talking about our experiences with
I'm your biggest
anxiety.
Okay, so this is my story archive. So this is, I got it February 14th, like whatever. Annie tagged me in
fan.
this.
Whatever.
whatever.
And then we're at this like nail place. We are actually starting a brand. If you can
Nice.
help us.
That's sick.
How do you patent a saying? How do we make a website? Where
That's
does
so
one
good.
get a manufacturer?
I
Do
love
we
that.
need investors?
Yeah.
And this is on our. Do we need investors?
And it's like some bum ass like
Yeah, no, but that's
story
great.
with
That's the
Dunkin'
Donuts.
inception. I love that
Yeah.
documentation.
You know?
Yeah. And look at you
So-
now.
I know. Look
And
at
look
us
You
at
got
now.
trucker hats. I'm
Crazy.
dripping head to toe in cozy but
Yeah,
anxious.
you are.
Crazy.
Yeah, can I wear that bucket hat actually?
Yeah, I
My
couldn't
hair's
really
all in my
maneuver
schnoz.
it with my
Yeah, no, I'm gonna
headphones.
see if I can do it. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Smile for the Polaroid.
Cute.
Oh yeah, it is hard to maneuver, huh?
Yeah,
With
it's
these.
tough.
That looks stupid as shit.
No,
Okay,
it works.
that looks
It
like
works. Do
Peter
your
Pan.
thing.
Wonderful. Okay, that's great. And so I guess these are generic questions, but also I'm super curious because I've been following you, and it's also in its infancy. You've come out with a couple drops of clothing, awesome loungewear, and that feeds into this motif of being cozy, right? Cozy but anxious. So it's like big clothes, baggy, super
Right.
sweats, sweatsuits, super lovely. But what is like maybe your goals? Like, you know, if you could look at yourself with all your dreams and aspirations completed 5 years from now, like what would cozy but anxious look like? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
No, you're good.
like we
You
want a
take that.
platform, and you know, we want to maybe do charity work, or like be like, are you both really trying to be like the face of the brand through personal experience? In my opinion, I think that's the best route. We can
Mhm.
dive deep into that later, me telling you what to do, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
super
a mix
curious.
of a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I
You explain.
think primarily like our broad goal is just to be a huge platform with where people can make connections, people can feel safe and comfortable, and like they've found this sort of sense of community where people are talking about their own experiences with mental health and what has helped them or what they've run into just in a very vulnerable way on the internet, and hopefully that can extend into some sort of real life, I don't know, just real life connection.
Totally.
But yeah, and I think a big part of that, or a big goal we have, is to extend that into video, some sort of video content, because I feel like that's a great way to get the point across and to really say a lot in a short amount of time, more so than you can in like a post, because people don't really want to sit and read an essay on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like so that's, I think, one of my main goals, and I think Hannah shares that as well. And then also just, as you said, doing some sort of charity work, like giving back to the cause that we're talking about, that we're focused on. And I think that the clothes are a good representation of kind of the feelings and a good embodiment of what we're talking about, but that ultimately I think will fall kind of second tier to the other work that we want.
Sure.
to.
Yeah. No, I completely know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well spoken.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think, and you know, like sorry.
No, you got it.
Like everything that Annie said and the charity portion, I think is so important. Like it is so important. Annie and I are extremely fortunate people, you know, like we have access to resources that a lot of people don't. Totally. And that is like extremely acknowledged between the two of us. And
me included. I'm in
and
that
it's
boat.
and it's something that we talk about a lot. And, you know, with that privilege that we have, it's a priority to us to, you know, help in ways that we can to get resources to those people that don't have access to it.
And like, if you think of it like the formula, like you could build a platform, have people follow you and be the voices of this platform, but then maybe through clothing or through other, you know, as your brand builds, you can allocate some of your revenue, which is probably part business. Obviously you want to be a profitable business, but to, you know, be a catalyst for other programs or things that you want to support.
Totally.
Through your
we
entire...
were just talking about this with the hats. Like,
I remember you talking to me about this a while ago. That's why I kind of brought it up.
Yeah, like we totally, we want to, you know, donate a portion of the money that we make on the hats to like, we haven't picked the organization yet, but something that aligns with the brand and what matters to us.
Exactly.
Totally.
You know, in terms of mental health.
And back to your question about kind of how involved we want to be in like being the face of the brand. I think I really like that idea because I feel like the idea of just having kind of the two of us.
Well, you know my answer.
I know. And I think though that what you've said to us about being really like open and kind of at the front of the brand's image, I really agree with, because it's our brand and like we're kind of the best ones, I think, to tell our own story and the story of the brand.
And that's
like,
what people
really
want to follow.
And,
they want to follow relatable,
and it would be a little
funny.
crazy if like
if what?
If Annie and I did not get vulnerable.
Exactly.
And we're asking people
100%,
on a platform to get vulnerable.
Totally.
Like, it'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But also just people, like, it's not, I mean, as even like this podcast, like that's a serious topic. Mental health should not be taken a joke and people are taking it more seriously. It's more accessible to even the conversation, but also just to like be yourselves and dick around. Like I know I follow both of your fake Insta accounts and they're fucking so funny. Like stupidly funny. And I'm sure you wouldn't want those public.
Right.
But like that vein of funny. But that vein, it's like you could totally share more. And that's gonna only bring people in.
Exactly.
Love is your boys.
What?
Yeah,
love is your boys.
Yeah. Chris, you want to hit a couple of these funny ones?
And I feel like a lot of that is like
what's up, my guy?
He's a beautiful is this like you prepped that?
Saucy.
Where did that one come
I want to show you Looney Lopez. You dug this up?
I put these sound bites in of you just saying stupid shit.
You're blackmailing.
You hear this one of
laugh.
Annie laughing?
My devilish laugh.
Can you turn it up a little, Chris?
I know
exactly
that laugh
when
gets
that
me
was.
going.
Yeah.
I hit up a couple people for those videos.
Good work.
Yeah, guess
It's
who?
a beautiful
Guess who I
darling, Mike.
Al.
I don't even know what that's on.
I said it's a beautiful
beautiful
dynamite.
Oh, sorry, that was like a non sequitur, but so funny.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and I hit up Emily also.
Oh,
and Tony, but she really didn't send me shit.
Mm. She
Good
doesn't
stuff.
What's
know.
the one where it's like, what's up, mine? What's the Hannah's one?
What's up, my guy?
So
I
classic.
think that's at Berkshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Berkshire graduation.
Oh, I remember that. It was my brother graduating.
Yeah.
Funny,
Yeah.
So good.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's great. I just thought I'd throw that in. I could use that for
Love
like
it.
the rest of the podcast also. Just what's up, mate? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I listened to
Oh
the
my God.
podcast you guys were on. I was saying this earlier with Eden. Is that her
Eden.
name?
Eden.
Yeah, and you guys were super well spoken. It was great.
Thank
It was
you.
short. It was like I listened
was
on the way up
short.
here. It was like 30 minutes maybe, but I mean, you touched all the awesome stuff.
Thank you.
But yeah, so maybe I'll talk because I'm just like, I mean, you remember me going so gung ho about all the stuff and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what we were
good.
just talking about, but no, like we were saying how you want to be the face and it's relatable things. Annie, in that podcast, you were saying why you love TikTok is because people can just be themselves. They can rant and be
Yes.
crazy with no makeup in their bedroom and just like be super fucking
Mhm.
funny. And then that's relatable.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the name of the game.
I'm
And like
with
even
you on
for you
that.
guys, you know, you don't need crazy production. It's like literally just like it's all about consistency, and that is
Exactly.
work, and it's annoying, and maybe you don't want to post every single thing, but like to just like have a schedule of posting or having fun with it, because I'm sure like who doesn't love, you know, making TikToks? I know you guys
It's
make
so
a couple,
fun. I make TikToks.
but that could be such a humongous like, you know, avenue lane for you to just
Totally.
murder,
No,
and
I'm
people would
so
love
with
it,
you.
and it doesn't take that much more work. Like it's super.
No, it doesn't. It's
yeah.
like it's easy, and it's like I fucking love TikTok, and I think that is a huge opportunity for us to just be like sitting talking to each other, like kind of how we are now, but just we can do it on our phones in our backyard, and it doesn't need anything. It doesn't need like lighting or anything. So yeah, I think that's kind of something we've been talking about a lot, is getting into that and getting into reels and just all that sort of video
Yeah,
stuff.
ask
And we've
Chris
talked
about that. He
about-
wants all that.
We've talked about, you know, like when in terms of like, we FaceTime a lot since we don't
Yeah.
live in the same
Yeah.
city.
Good.
And so, you know, like there are times where I'll FaceTime Annie being like, should I wear these pants or this dress? Like that's my goal going into the thing is to get an answer from her of what she likes more. And I'm like, okay. And then I think that the call is going to end.
Yeah.
And then we will end up FaceTiming for like an hour and a half,
Right.
you know, talking about like
Naturally.
serious shit, really funny shit,
Right,
like
that's
whatever
the-
it is.
yeah.
And if those could be recorded,
Right, and
Yeah.
that's something
You
we've
know,
been talking
in
about
some
too.
way.
Like,
Yes.
let's just start recording our
Yeah.
FaceTimes when like we're talking about
Mhm.
some funny shit, and then we
Right.
just upload that to TikTok.
And the world is just
like,
changing. It's like you think of what a brand is. And Chris, maybe we can get your opinion on that. But like nowadays in 2021, with social media as the dominant just platform to, you know, literally a window into that conversation, you know, that's what people want to follow. That's what a brand is. You don't need all this, like, obviously you have an agenda with mental health and you're making clothes and that's all. But to actually just build something, it's like people just want to see that. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they don't know they want to see it, but they scroll through TikTok and like these funny ass girls
right.
or then talking about serious, you know, it's like it's just so accessible now, and like I think that's exactly what like a brand is now, just like
Yeah.
the 100% authentic, you know, no filter, just from your phone
Exactly.
talking shit.
Yeah, and I think people like really crave that after years of going on Instagram and seeing this like polished
Yeah,
image
without
from,
doubt.
from whoever you're following, and that's why
Yeah.
I think people respond so well to TikTok. 'cause
and I'm
it's
guilty
so
of it,
just-
you know, like
Totally. Me too,
I
bro.
posted-
It's my fucking life.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I posted an
I'm a slut.
Instagram earlier, this like slideshow of like photos from my weekend that I liked, and literally captioned it Gaio Sandini.
I saw you post that this morning. Right?
Yeah. Little do
The
my
fuck does
followers
that
know,
mean?
I had like 3 panic attacks and cried like the whole weekend. I mean, it was a great time.
Yeah. What is
It was-
Gaio
it was-
Sendi? Is that just some dumb thing?
Gaio is
Gaio
like
has
my
been-
guy, and then you just
Right.
add the O.
Gaio.
Yes.
So that?
Gaio.
Yeah. No, but not that-
Sandini.
What's up,
And then
my guy?
Sandini is like send. My guy.
My guy.
Not that everyone needs to know that you have 3 panic attacks on top of having a
No, it
wonderful
wasn't
weekend
3.
in the
That was
Hamptons.
also really exaggerated.
Right, no, but
I
you
was
know what I'm saying.
anxious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So it's just like, yeah, every post isn't a perfect post or picture of your life,
Right.
but no, it's like I said with the fake Instagrams. Like, yeah, I know you guys, and I know you dick around and your humor, but like that shit, I know, like everyone would love that. Like
Yeah.
people who don't have good senses of humor or like really weird, strange people wouldn't like that. But normal kids our age, younger, older, you know, like
Yeah.
that's the shit everyone sends to their friends, or the
Yeah.
stupid thing you said, my guy-o. Like that's what
Right.
just is extremely normal. And so, you know, when you like see something online and you don't know people, but it's like-minded conversation, it's like a rite of passage. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when was that podcast you guys did? How long ago was that with the girl?
Couple months.
2 months
Yeah,
ago.
and you're like, we're gonna try to do more TikTok. And how many
Right.
TikToks have you done?
One.
You gotta up your game, guys.
We will.
I know.
I'm your biggest
I
fan
know.
and
Swear to
supporter,
God.
but also
I know.
I'm probably annoying telling you, but I think
No,
you
it's
should-
true, though.
You could
Like,
do
we
it.
do.
It's true. I know. It's definitely been.
And now that we're
more-
together anymore.
Exactly.
No, and I know,
It's
yeah,
not.
that's a huge issue. And it's
So-
also just a learning curve. It takes time. It's so easy
Yeah.
to say, hey, post like 3 TikToks a day of all your funny conversations and make them funny and
Right.
relatable. It's obviously easier said than done.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere.
Totally.
I know. And that's kind of what we were doing. Like, we've been recording.
Nice.
We have some content.
Hell yeah.
We got to do some voiceovers.
Gets me hot and hurty.
Right. And I even think like we.
It does, in like a very like business savvy situation.
You're sick.
I have serious
Sick
demons.
fuck.
You do have demons.
Don't we all?
I have
But-
plenty.
But even we could take a little like recording from this.
Absolutely.
Put it
yeah,
over.
no, recycle
Put it over our videos
No
of us on the
doubt,
beach.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted this, because I know, not that I'm the master crystallizing of social media, but I know sometimes it would take this situation to then, okay, we did that, let's do it on our own. You know, it's like a
Yeah.
a springboard, maybe.
Yeah.
Not that it would be or wouldn't, but I'm saying, I think I'm also like, in terms of like my life and painting, and like it's a very iterative sort of process. Not that making TikToks is the same, but it's in the same sort of repertoire of thinking. I think it's like you won't know until you do something, and everyone wants the thing they put out, or if you put out music or you write blog posts or whatever, you always want it to be good. You always want it to be well received, even as something dumb as a little TikTok. But no one really cares, and you're only going to get better at doing it if you do it. So it's like you just want to start. I think that's the only agenda, is just start, put stuff out, and you're going to be alive, probably best friends with the same brand 6 months from now. And are you going to
One
have
can hope.
100 TikToks, and be way better at doing that 6 months from now, or you're not? It's either
Right.
yes or
Yeah.
no. And that's how I think of it. And what's helped me kind of like be a goal-oriented person. Again, this is like a very nebulous conversation. I'm not trying to compare it exactly, but like that, if you think of it like that way, it maybe will help you.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
no.
how my brain works.
Totally. And I
I'm
think
with
like
you.
we need to be, going back to TikTok and the vulnerability that we were talking about earlier, like it's way easier to do that on TikTok versus Instagram, I'd
I think
say.
so, for sure.
Yeah.
And right now, Instagram is really our only platform.
Mhm.
And, we've talked about this before. Like, we are our worst critics.
Of
or like
course.
so judgmental. I'm so judgmental of myself. I know that you've said that about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
to
of
like
course.
let loose and kind of just like spitball shit and make
Right.
a TikTok.
Mhm.
I think there's like, we haven't done it probably because we don't want to.
I mean, because of the
Subconsciously.
reason you just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Right.
the biggest
So-
like removing factor for people doing a lot of things, anything creative, anything, putting anything out in public.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
we've kind of gotten over that first hump of like putting shit out on Instagram, like talking
I was
about.
scared to start a brand
Right.
solely based off of like, oh, people are going to think I'm weird.
Of course. I mean, that's
Of
literally the
course,
definition
yeah.
of what? So not crystallized social anxiety, but yeah, you're afraid of people are going to judge you, or they're going to have opinion
Mm-hmm.
of you that's not good, or that your opinion of what you want people to think will never be,
Right.
foreseen.
Yeah.
But through
And
this. Go ahead.
I wish I was that like no fucks given girl.
But it takes time.
But
You
it
don't
takes
just snap. But you
time.
don't just snap. I'm saying if you did this for 6 months, let's say you made a rule, and if you didn't do it, you would, I don't know, lose your wonderful dog. And if you didn't upload 2 TikToks a day, by the end of that, sorry, that was a little weird. But I'm saying like you would do it, and then you would get so much better at it, and then you wouldn't be that girl anymore. You would be
No,
the girl that
I
I'm
It's like
agree.
comfortable.
practice, like
That's all I'm saying.
it's like
beating a dead horse.
Literally, it's like driving. Like I've been driving so much more this summer. I was so uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
behind the wheel. I'm literally like this,
Yeah.
and now I'm like chilling.
Dude, that's
I'm
so
like,
funny. I give this analogy in all my videos, and I think it's a perfect analogy. I'll just say it, but it's like the mindset. It's like when kids start driving, like your mindset is I'm going to get my license, and you just start driving. Maybe you're on the highway, you're at a huge intersection. It's really scary, and you fail, or your parents are yelling at you, and you fuck up, and it's like, oh shit. But you're still like, I'm gonna get my license. You go back, you keep driving. It's like you never, even when you do fail or mess up in your car, you can't parallel park the first time. It's like that mindset is so solidified in kids in the United States, I think, at least. Like, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to
Not
eventually
me.
drive. Really?
I mean, I didn't get my license till I
All right,
was
well, I'm saying this in a
22,
very
but yeah.
generic. I'm saying this in a very generic like
I
way.
know.
So that mindset is like a really powerful, and people don't have that for this extremely long strung analogy of like posting. Oh, maybe people won't like my stuff, or maybe I won't like it, or I'll be judged. You know, it's like
Totally.
you just gotta do it.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's-
and I think I've definitely through doing Cozy But Anxious, I've come to care so much less. I'm just like,
That's it.
yeah, and it's just
Totally. But it's
being
a work in
together
progress.
is
Yeah.
being together
know?
too. I think
Totally.
is like
I know, it's easy.
essential.
I feel like I just rant and make it sound so easily.
And
'cause
have
it's my
people
life,
who
but-
like have your best interest encouraging you
Mhm.
is super helpful, you know?
That's
and
valid.
and not that it's like looking for validation from your friends. I mean, I guess there, of course there's a piece of that, but having your friends also give you constructive criticism
Mm-hmm.
of like maybe take that angle, or like what about this, or like you have experience on that and that
Totally.
could help a lot of people, you know? When I'm, like I said, my biggest judge, critic, whatever, I'm like sitting there being like, no one wants to hear my
Yeah.
shit.
Mhm.
right, and
you
that's
know?
why I feel like we're so lucky that we're doing this together because
Totally. I could not do
because
this
we-
alone.
I believe you.
Yeah.
You guys are a power couple.
We are.
You are, but that's. I mean,
Wow.
even
Love you,
I'm
babe.
sure
Love you.
I'm fully confident you could do it on yourself if you want to. It's
We
just
could.
it's just a learning curve type
it's
of thing,
just,
but you should use it because like I'm
it's
sure
more
you do.
fun.
Were you guys
Yeah.
nervous when we put out the video I helped you guys
Totally.
make?
Do you
were
remember
nervous
we were
for
sitting
that?
at the Delaney and I was like,
I was
Ugh.
more nervous before we did it,
Mhm.
and then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is dope." But yeah, I still kind of.
I made you edit some shit out. I was
I
like,
know.
no.
So
And it's funny because I
You're like-
loved that part, and
That
so
part,
did
right?
SLEW.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the relatability thing. I was
You
going
know,
for.
like
but it was
it's,
great.
it's crazy though. Like
No, yeah, no, I hear you. Like even when I'm texting you guys, there, you know, I text you a few times the group chat, being like, "What's up? How you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
That's me prying, being like,
What's going on?
"Yeah, tell me
Yeah.
what you've been up to." As a fan,
no, I
because I got
appreciate
you
it.
guys
know.
back, and I love it. I'm a big
Thank
supporter,
you. Thank you.
and I also have in my internal, personal, like
Period.
selfish world that I think you guys can be like really huge, and it's like the correct formula of relatability, and also because I think you guys are funny and smart, it's like you could really do some sweet stuff.
Thank you.
But I don't want to speak for you.
No, I mean we're lucky that we have people like you who are like experienced.
But everyone, right?
in-
Have you heard anyone be like, maybe you guys shouldn't do
Right,
this or
right.
this,
But
this,
you you have a lot of knowledge and experience in.
Sure, I just
the-
want you like be a
this
tool for you guys if
field.
I could do
Yes,
anything.
yeah.
You know.
Also,
Yeah.
too, like think about this weekend. Like when we went to that party, and that
Yeah.
girl, she came up to us and she was like, "I love Cozy But Anxious. Like
Hell
what
yeah.
you're doing is really
Yeah.
And you
dope."
didn't really know her?
No, I mean
know
we've met
her.
her, but
Oh,
like
okay.
I wouldn't say we've kept in touch.
Right,
you
she's
know?
just like an acquaintance.
yeah,
Yeah, totally.
totally
it's
cool, nice
dope.
girl.
And I think
Okay.
now,
Chicken chill.
I think now
he. I
that
said
we're
she.
together for a solid
rude.
month, it's like that's rude. It will be essential to us actually sitting down and like making TikToks.
Yeah.
and-
I'm showing my dog's butthole.
Wayne's got a
Oh,
clean old
Wayne.
butt.
He's a good
Right.
guy.
I mean, I feel like the studio does smell like dog now, though.
Yeah, probably.
In a good way. But it's like amazing how like this little dog
Yeah,
can
how
really
potent he
permeate.
is.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that smelly.
Well, you were used to it. You like
Right.
you wouldn't probably be able to ever know.
I love the scent.
No, and I think it's good. It's just interesting how much it smells everywhere of it.
Just interesting.
Don't
Yeah.
listen to
Nothing
him.
else.
I wanted to specifically talk to you, Hannah, about your sober journey and how that affects your mental health in terms of like the day-to-day vulnerability. We're talking about vulnerability because again, I am not in the sober community and I don't want to speak for you or anyone, but one of my best friends is in it. I'm very close with him and just seeing his day-to-day going to meetings. I'm assuming you still go to meetings or even in your groups with sponsors, or I know you're also trained to be an addict coach or something. What is the correct term?
Oh, like a recovery coach.
Right, a recovery coach. So in that whole lifestyle, which again isn't just you're defining life, you know, it's you're going to school, you're trying to work, but it's certainly a big part, right? Am I wrong or right?
Mm-hmm. No, you're
And it's
totally
almost
right.
like a part-time job, maintaining your sobriety and recovery. And so through that, you've probably had a lot to, a lot of time in the last 30 years to talk about your health and mental health. And so do you think like being sober for 3 years, which is again so sick, good for you, dude. Like, do you feel like you've been talking about how you feel. I mean, again, that's specific with, substance and things like that. But within that, there is like, this very vulnerable aspect to, sharing your story, and that comes with other emotions. Like, so do you think this has been a crazy year of like, or a couple years of, being vulnerable and how that's affected you? Am I being clear and articulate?
Completely. Like I
find that with cozy but anxious.
Yeah, no, 100%, like I'm fortunate to have met people that have helped me so much, and I've talked about this with people before, and it's like I left Boulder, I went away, and when I got back, I moved to New York, and I left Boulder, and I literally, like an hour before this, was just talking with somebody about how, something that was super hard for me to abandon, but to stay sober, was to leave Colorado, and something that I didn't want to do. And so, but like, thank God I did it,
right.
Like I would not be sober if
Sure.
I hadn't done that. And so I think when I got to New York and was like trying to navigate that as a newly sober young woman who was 20 years old,
So young.
which crazy. I felt like a newborn. Like I felt like I did not know myself, I did
really?
not. Yeah, because for a very long time, or not a long time, but the time that I drank, which was like, I started drinking when I was like 13, 14, stopped at 20. So like 6-7 years, so it's like, it felt long for me,
right?
It's not long in like a lifetime.
Yeah.
But during that time, like I really look back on it, and I don't think that I had like any legit passions besides drinking and partying, and like, when am I gonna get fucked up next with my friends, and like all I want to do is go out, and like that was my identity.
So when you became sober, moved here, kind of broke open, who am I?
Totally.
What am
Like
I doing?
like looking back at Boulder, like all I gave a shit about was like trying to like be a certain weight,
right,
and like boys and parties.
Well, I think there's a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
Totally. But when you get sober and you take that away and you move to a new city, I mean, I knew New York before.
But totally still new.
But like
Metropolis.
But like moving here without my friends and stuff like that, and not really knowing what direction I was going to go in, and all that stuff, like it really made me look at myself. Like, what do I like?
Dude.
Who do I want to be? You know, like, what do I care about?
Exactly.
You know,
I think
because
that's
for a
great.
long time, the only thing I fucking thought about was myself.
Right.
In a negative way.
Right.
Or I like to say it's like the story you tell yourself for happiness. It's like, oh, partying is fun. Like, that's what I want to do.
Right.
But you don't really
To
even believe
justify.
it. You know, it's like at the end of the day, it's like, do I like that? Oh,
Yeah.
but I've told myself,
like-
and that's what everyone does.
Right.
And I think, you know, a lot of people don't know this, and I think it's important to know, is that like addiction, especially for me, like it progressed into something bad. When I first started drinking at a young age, it was like really fun.
Sure.
You know, like I absolutely loved it.
Right.
And there was a point in time where it was controlled, and I
Yeah.
could control it. And then I crossed that line where I couldn't, and there was no going back for me.
Right.
And I think that, like, I'm kind of losing my train of
you're
thought,
good.
but I think that the first half of my drinking, like, I don't know, 3-4 years,
Right.
it was great.
It was novel.
Yeah.
Just
It was fun.
experience, activity.
Partying was
Sure.
actually fun.
Right.
And it
And
wasn't
then-
on your mind constantly. It
Yeah.
was
No, it was normal. It was like a weekend thing, or when we left school, and like
Right.
whatever, the summer, and I could control it,
Mhm.
you know, and then things took a turn, you know, like alcohol and drugs. I mean, unless you're doing uppers, it's a downer, you know, and then with someone with like pre-existing mental health issues, you put like alcohol and drugs on that, and it like is like putting gasoline on fire.
Yeah, it's like a tornado.
Yeah. And so I think the, you know, last 4 years of my drinking, I would say it started probably end of senior year of high school. It was not fun for me, you know,
And you're just caught up.
in it, wanting to do it, wanting to force myself to like it. And then also too, as for myself, as someone that struggles with drinking and using, like one was not enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I have
Right.
2 drinks and I'd
That's
be
crazy.
like itching. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not
it-
fun, you know, because if you're trying to control your drinking, that sucks because all you're doing while you're out is trying to control something.
Right.
And then
It takes
if
the
you're not
pl-
trying
away-
to
yeah.
control it,
You're
I'm crippled with anxiety the
guilt-ridden
next day
and-
because I
yeah.
don't remember anything.
No, I think,
know?
yeah. And I
Yeah.
can't speak to that because that's your personal, that's awesome. But good for you also, by
Right.
the way. But I think what you said is something I actually think about a lot also. It's not being an addict or having substance abuse problems, but like the same idea of like, you know, I still party and I still do things or hang with friends who do not that much except go out or live for the weekend. And I even like, this has been years I've been thinking about this, and I said this on a previous podcast. I've been recently more and more always trying to like ask myself, what do I really want to do right now? Like
Yeah.
what actually brings me joy? Like, do I want to go out or do I want to read my fantasy book and
Right.
paint? Or like, you know, so it's like there's a lot of, I think, cultural, especially being young adults. Now we're out of college. Maybe we have some money and there's just unlimited freedom. It's like there's these old societal stories of like what brings you happiness, or like even work. It's like I need to get a job and I need to, you know, push my passions if you have some, which not
Right.
everyone does. I need to push those away to get a job and live on my own. And you know, you get very confused in this juggling of what, you know, the zeitgeist of culture, what you want, what it makes you want to think, you
Yeah.
know. Jesus, that was
Yeah.
a jumble of words. But what I'm saying is I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think it's applicable because, you know, I just like, I feel like my biggest, what drives me is like to not regret. And that sounds so dramatic, but it's like I said, I always try to picture myself a year in advance and be like, all right, what type of person do I want to be? Do I want to be the Sam Lewis a year from now that's painted, you know, 50 weeks out of the 52 and like have read a bunch of books that I'm interested in? Like I could be that person, or I could just not do
Yeah.
that. And I know I want to do that now. Maybe throughout that year, like my interests or hobbies will change, but it's like,
Right.
what kind of person do I want? What do I actually enjoy?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that, Annie?
100%. Yeah, no,
Switch
and
her
I
up.
think kind of goes back to what I was thinking about with the pandemic. Like during COVID, I feel like, I mean, this is kind of, that's when Cozy But Anxious was born, and when I was able to explore all of these interests that had been kind of dormant since I was a kid. I was always super artistic as a kid. I would spend hours just like drawing and making stuff, and that kind of fell to the wayside throughout all these years of school where I was focused on the goal of doing my homework and writing my papers or whatever. And so throughout COVID, I was like really had all this time to just work on Cozy But Anxious, and discovered through that I like love creating shit through graphic design, and I love working on the website and taking pictures, editing pictures, all of this stuff that I had never really tapped into,
Right.
but that reminds me of how I was as a
Totally.
child. And
It's like emotional archaeology. You know? You're, like,
exactly,
digging
yeah.
up
And
these
I'm
things
just
that
like,
I like. and it's
holy
like, oh,
shit. Yeah, I'm like, I
yeah.
feel like a kid where I'm like on, but it's just on a different kind of scope where
Mhm.
I'm using an iPad or a computer or whatever. But I feel like, yeah, coming back after all these months of not really having social pressures to the same extent that we had before the pandemic, and then also having these newfound passions and hobbies / job, like coming back into kind of a more social world, it's like I'm definitely questioning more so, kind of finding myself at this like crossroads of
Mhm.
like, do I want to go out or do I want to, I don't know, make TikToks or
Yeah, right.
yeah, do whatever I've been doing
Yeah.
kind of to further this business and my passion
Sure.
and my hobby. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to shame anyone who does party or like,
No,
you know, like
not
it's
at all.
fine. It's to each his own. I'm just saying the more generic overarching theme of really asking yourself, you know, trying to, and that's so hard. And I think this is a perfect segue into like, not breaking patterns of behavior, but these tools to like ask yourself these kind of more deeper questions that go against maybe your friendships. Like, what are good techniques to do that? Like we just said, I said, like, I try to picture myself in the future, what kind of person I want to be. And that's a little like dramatic, and I'm a modern day thespian, but that's how I roll. But like, what would you have any like advice and maybe some contextual strategies towards what we're talking about?
I think first and foremost, like going back to the partying thing, like I wish that I could like party and function.
Yeah, balance.
I just can't.
No,
you know,
for
and
sure.
like that's my life. Like no, like people that can do that, I'm like, good for
Respect.
you.
No, I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying.
Respect.
I
Like
hear it.
I wish, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you wish you could like every single food that was ever made. You know, it's like why wouldn't you
Right.
want to enjoy every food?
Yeah.
Some people don't. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a distant analogy.
Right, or it's
but
like you wish you could eat whatever you wanted without gaining weight.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so
we're shaming you.
do it.
I am.
No, but in terms of strategies, like you just said, future, and it's actually crazy how it differs from each person, like person to person. Because for me, it's like all about being present, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that like future trips like crazy, where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what if I'm not there in 5
Right.
years, or like, what if this doesn't happen, or this happened, so that means that can't happen.
Right.
And if I like get myself out of the day, which I do often, and I have to bring myself back, like if I'm not present, my day is shit because I'm constantly living in something that's not
Yeah.
today, you know?
Yeah.
And not in a fantasy way,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
in a way of like worry.
Sure. I completely understand what you're saying.
And so for me, it's like, you know, meditation is super important.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, it doesn't happen every day. I'd be
Right.
lying if it did. But when I do,
yeah.
like I'm way less quick to react. I'm less impulsive
So
in
interesting.
decision making.
More like profoundly aware, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm aware. Like I'm a little more open minded. I've really noticed a difference, and it's not something that I wish I was more consistent with it. But I'll have like months or weeks where I'm doing it a lot, and it's super fucking helpful.
That's super cool.
But as of like even 6 months ago, like I was not doing that at all. Or a little over 6 months ago, I wasn't doing it. I just like wake up, check Instagram, get a coffee,
Yeah.
rip my jewel, go walk the dog, like, and my day would start off like a really like boom boom, boom like chaotic,
Mhm.
like
And,
a
like,
chaotic start.
Yeah.
That I would enter my day with like a bunch of like thoughts all
Noise,
over the
yeah.
place,
Yeah.
noise, like, you know, wake up and immediately start talking shit to myself. Like, you need to do
Oh,
this. You haven't
yeah.
done that, whatever. But if I can pause
Mm.
and meditate and actually take a little time in my morning, you know, whether that's journaling or meditating,
Mhm.
you know, doing my thing,
That's smart.
like it makes a world of a difference. And like within the last 6 months, like I have noticed a huge change in myself
Great.
just from doing that. Having
Yeah.
a morning routine, like that really works for
That's
me.
smart. Yeah. I think that, and it's like, I love how, like, I'm never trying to tell people what to do as if, like, we have the answers. I think that's why
Right.
it's important to talk about personal experience because that's
Yeah.
all we could really talk about.
Like
but
I have no idea what works for you.
no, yeah, and it's like the same thing. I actually, I've been in and out of therapy my whole life, and I wouldn't say I have like so like intense anxiety, but I have like panic nature where like it's something mundane. It doesn't even have to be some dramatic thing. Like there will be something in my life that is I'm foreshadowing, and then I'll put it into this extremely unrealistic place in my mind as if I have to like, fist fight the devil. Like that's like how ultimatumly dark and then
Right.
that there's no end, there's no hope. It's like this extreme adversity, and now
And it's like a certainty.
yeah, and it's
that it'll
looming,
be
and I'm just gonna get
bad. Yeah.
closer, and then I'll just like panic about it. And it's actually weirdly the same on the other side, like through fantasy. It's like you say, you're living your head. It's like that's my big issue. I'm not present a lot, and what I try to work on all the time, and I am when I'm painting and I'm like having being creative, which is a big part of my life. But like the general stuff, like even driving, I drove to New York today in an hour, and like these hour drives, like I'll just arrive here and just be like, I don't even remember driving because I'm just
Yeah.
so far in my head,
Yeah.
fantasizing about my career or girls or crazy, things. And then, equally like extreme adversity and like treachery and catastrophe within my life and family. And like, it's just, you hold them so like dear as if they're real. And then usually how it goes is life is never close to either of those,
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, I'm ranting also, I don't know where I was going, but like, I've been really trying to be present because it's like my biggest, I think my worst attribute.
Yeah. And I
To
yeah,
dump that
for
on
sure.
y'all.
I have,
Vulnerable.
this is something else that I find super helpful. And I have this friend B, and she sends me without fail, by like 10 a.m. at the latest, a gratitude list, like a thorough gratitude list every morning.
That's intense.
And it like, but it's so dope reading it, being like, there's so much good shit in life.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm the type of person that naturally wakes up being like, I don't have this. And how do I get that? And I want this, and she has that, and I don't, and
Comparison
I need
is
that,
the
you
death
know?
of joy.
Because, compare and despair. It's real. And so, like, my friend B, like, I appreciate her so much. She sends me these lists, and they're like, I write one back almost every morning. Not every morning, but I try to. Or even later in the day, like looking back at my day, being like, you know, I'm really fucking grateful that my mom is cancer free. I'm really grateful that like I have an amazing group of friends that support me. You know, I'm really grateful that I have AC.
Totally.
Like those are the things that I don't think about naturally.
And that sparks off a good morning. Sorry.
And you even asked us, like yesterday, we were sitting outside, 4 of our friends and us, and Hannah's just like, what's everyone grateful for right now? And we all just went around and said something. Like, I think that is something that really helps me to be present. And that's something that I only started doing like a few months ago because I met with this psychic who Hannah introduced me to. Yeah. And,
a medium or something.
And she kind of gave me that as my task, was just to write down or think about five-ish things that I'm grateful for every day and why. And so I've been doing that like when I remember or when I'm feeling like it and when I'm on my shit. And that actually helps me so much to get out of my head and just think about kind of like what I'm grateful for so much. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, like think about it. It's
really
like more
helps.
about, it's like more of an abundant mindset than it is like scarcity,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think it's like really the only, it's like that dramatic of a thing to anchor yourself, because it's like I said this, I've even said this in videos, like I'm not complaining, but like I do have these anxieties, I put pressure on myself and all these things I struggle with, but I did just move into a crazy big studio. You know, I have all of these resources. I'm so lucky. Like I'm literally living my dream. So it's like, am I even allowed to complain? And so I put that pressure on me also. It's like, oh, am I complaining? Why am I complaining? I have, you know, I'm super lucky. And so it's like
feeling
a guilt
guilty
trip
for
thing,
complaining.
Dude,
which is a hell loop.
And I've been there.
I think that,
I hope you're Jewel.
of course.
Please continue.
I seriously think that that's like my, something that I struggle with a lot.
Yeah.
Like to put it bluntly, like I have a lot of things. Like I have a lot of great shit in my life.
Sure.
You know, I go to school. I have an apartment in New York City. I have a dog. I have an amazing group of friends.
And you shame yourself almost for it?
I have a very supportive family. I have a family that like I can go see a lot very easily, you know, and then not to mention like this privilege thing. And like there's so it's like it's hard. Like I have so much gratitude for it and so much appreciation for it than I did like way earlier in life, or like even before I got sober. Like I just didn't give a shit. It's like I'd be like, I'm grateful, but like I didn't feel gratitude, you know, like it wasn't like a feeling I embodied.
Right. Yeah.
And
internalized.
Yeah, and it's like at the same time I'm like, like I feel bad that I have this, or like, oh, I actually have been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, substance abuse, like eating disorder, anxiety, the whole fucking thing. And it's like, but like my life externally looks a certain way, so that doesn't really add up. But that's where it goes down to like, it's the chemical makeup of your brain, it's genetics, it's all that shit.
Totally. And it
really just goes to show that like the things you have externally, like that is something that I really have learned, like and really like stand by, is that like external validation from things, whether it's clothes, boys, school, all that stuff, like it doesn't really mean fucking shit.
No,
like if
doesn't.
you're not comfortable with who you are internally at the end of the day when you go to bed, with
Yeah.
the person that you're going to sleep with is yourself,
Preach.
like all that fucking shit doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I just want to interject because like I said, I shame myself for that, and I think, oh, even my
I'm
art's not
sweating.
worthy. Yeah, strip. I don't know what you did to put that on, but
It's hot.
It is really
I know. I
hot.
told you. I mean, we could take another break before the next segment, and rip the AC for a little. But
Yeah.
just real quick, like I think that it's a great avenue to cultivate gratitude and be extremely aware of what you do have, and like that's great. But it's just what you were born into, and like I at the same time as I feel guilty for, which is kind of stupid because there's no point, like to play my own devil's advocate, it doesn't matter what you have, like everyone's a human, no matter if you're Jeff Bezos' kid and you have the best life, supportive family, everything you said and more to the nth degree, like that person could still have anxiety.
Yeah.
And everything is relevant, it's all perspective.
Right.
And even if you have everything, you could still struggle, and you're allowed to struggle, and you're allowed to complain, and I'm allowed to feel pressured, even though, maybe I had a leg up in life more than other people. There's always people that will have a leg up on you or not. But, I try to like placate myself and say, it's just my life and my experience, and it's impossible to crystallize. I've said that like 7 times, that word right now, my favorite word, but it's hard to like, really dissect the complexity and compare yourself, because that is almost a version of comparing. It's like, oh, I have more than this person, so why should I? Right.
Exactly.
Agreed. And I think, something that's super important is like I said, I have all these amazing things in my life, and like my feelings, whether that has anything to do with that stuff or not, like my feelings are valid. Every single person's feelings are valid. They might not be a fact, but like if I'm feeling anxious for whatever reason, like that's valid.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt.
And like accepting that, and then also on top of that is like, for example, like I have an amazing therapist. Changed my life.
Shout out.
Truly. Like I love her.
Mhm.
And that's been something super, super helpful for my mental health. Vital to my mental health. Truly. And like, so with that, with being able to have that resource, especially with Cozy But Anxious, it's like, how can I get that resource to people that don't have what I have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how can I get that, how can I use my privilege to like upload, like, how can I use my privilege to uplift those people that have been silenced, that don't have the ability to talk about the things with their family maybe as easily or freely, maybe those who have tons of trauma that I don't have. Like that's what Annie and I, that's what Cozy But Anxious is like, we want to bring awareness to those things, like being 2 white women. It's like, okay, like we have to do something with that.
Absolute dimes.
Like it's really important.
No, I understand. I think you can't change people just from, but yeah, it's you give that platform, you give that opportunity. I think you make it clear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
put your money where your mouth is.
We're saying it now, but that's all.
It's true though.
Gem.
Right.
And like continuing to educate yourself on that is super fucking important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this all started with me talking about your sobriety. So long story short, you would say through your sober journey that's continuing, there is like this overarching, being vulnerable. It's like a part of that. And so you think that's been awesome for you?
100%.
Because that's what, like, I'm again running to my relationship with my friend. It's like I idolize him and I look up to him for that, because he is like, again, like being sober, I think takes a lot of time in your life to maintain your recovery, but like it seems like really great. And obviously people are different. I'm not trying to like glorify him or you being sober, but it's like I like look up to him because he's so open and he's so upfront with his emotions, and he's so the first person to ask me how I'm doing, and he just seems very aware, like we were saying, within the emotional realm. So I think it's just super awesome.
It's been super crazy,
maybe Annie, have you felt like vicariously through being friends with Annie and her, that, and like has that rubbed off on you a little?
Yeah, of course.
I'm cutting deep here.
Yeah,
Lay it
no,
on me.
1,000%. And I think I have other close,
and you have your own life and
close
things,
people.
But
yeah, and I have other close people in my life who are also in the sober community, and I think that spending time with them and with Hanna has definitely had a shift on my outlook, not only on drugs and alcohol, but also on just regular life stuff, because you and other sober people in my life will share like their wisdom from being sober and through just all the work that they've done throughout their recovery, and that definitely sticks with you, and and you just learn a lot from that, and it's dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and then come back with a cozy conversation.
Down.
And we're gonna snap on
Let's
3,
do
and then the
it.
video will be immediately. 1, 2, 3.
So basically, what Annie and I are trying to do is start this thing called Cozy Conversations, whether that's questions from followers, people that we decide to interview. We've been talking about doing one with our moms.
Heck
Yeah. And just like talking about our experiences and being vulnerable with one another. And so last night we asked followers to ask us questions, anything about mental health, about cozy but anxious, about our personal experience, literally anything.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of responses,
Yeah.
and we chose 4.
Woo!
So we're gonna go over those now.
All right. Yeah, Chris, you wanna?
Fired up.
Should I just go in order, or do you care? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
God, your voice is so
Surprise
warm and
us.
burly.
Sorry.
That's wonderful. It's a nice change of pace.
What
Oh my
phrase
God.
or thought process keeps you from panicking in an anxious situation?
Okay, so personally, I learned this trick in 7th grade health class. I got nothing else out of it, but this one thing really stuck with me, and it's kind of a meditation-based technique that is like you breathe in and you think to yourself, I am calm, and then breathe out and say, think, and relaxed. And I just do that over and over again and really focus on it when I'm like spiraling out. I'm just like, and say that mantra affirmation. And then the more you focus on it and the longer you do it, like it really gets me out of my head and gets me out of these spirals.
Nice.
So yeah, that's been helpful for me for years. And I use it when I'm trying to fall asleep too, because sometimes that can be tough when my mind is in a million different places. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Good tactic.
I know I got absolutely nothing out of my 7th grade health
Right.
class.
I
don't know
know.
if
It's
I
like
had
They
the
were
one
like, this
thing.
is the penis.
Yeah.
This is the vagina.
Did you know that already?
Right.
Yeah, duh. I was like, I literally was like,
I know.
Yeah.
so bad.
I
You
know.
went to
Anyways,
progressive middle school.
yeah, they're like,
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But that's a great tidbit.
Yeah.
I think it's a very
the one
generically
thing.
good tactic.
Yeah.
I
that's
think,
a great one.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of say anything. You can say whatever you want, but
Mm-hmm.
just having something that allows you to really focus on your breath.
the breath, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
important.
just crucial.
And I was gonna say
You've
that
told me that before, that one before, and
Yeah,
I've done it, and it's
it's a
super
good
helpful.
one.
because I was gonna ask you when you were talking about meditation, because when you say meditation, it sounds very woo woo. Everyone's like, oh, meditate, you sit like a monk, and it's like that's like a very like
It's a broad.
right.
There's a lot that falls under
I think there's
it.
totally a lot,
Right.
and I think it's like very stigmatized. Not stigmatized, but it's like, oh, really? I can't see myself sitting, like a monk 5
right, and there's a
hours
lot
day.
of like false information I think about it on the internet, or a lot of information that says this is the way to do it when there's really like not one way
and
to
the
do it.
overarching beneficial, aspects is focus on breath.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to yourself or have some mantra, I am calm, blah blah blah, and focus on that. And like even me,
Affirmations.
Yeah.
totally. Like I don't meditate in the traditional way, but I think when a lot of my time is just spent painting, where you're just literally sitting and I'm focusing
That's
on
so
something.
meditative.
But like I'm very focused, and even though I said I lack presence a lot, like it is definitely the most present I am during my experiences when I'm painting and I'm like
Yeah, I
with
bet.
myself, and you get into a flow. And like
Yeah.
I'm hyper focused on painting, right? Like it's a job, you have to be a technician, but it's also like you're so in it, you just kind of you go back to your breath, and it's
And you're just in the present. I feel the same with like similarly creative stuff when I'm creating something, and also when I'm like skiing. My mind doesn't wander. I'm like thinking about, okay, I'm skiing. I'm gonna make a turn. Like
Right.
whatever you're whenever you're kind of thinking about what you're doing right in that moment and not having your mind wander, like that's meditation.
Yeah. Also something I
to
do
me.
even when I'm like, if I'm like in a panicky, and my panicky mind only really ever comes out at night. It's like never in the morning. It's like almost specifically like a nighttime thing when my emotional intelligence versus intellectual is like, you know, different. So, but
That's interesting.
yeah, no, at night the intellectual brain kind of dies and emotion kind of takes over. But
That makes sense.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
what was I gonna say?
Meditation.
No, I know, but Annie, you said I think
thinking
and I'm
about the
calm.
present moment.
Yeah, okay, I forgot.
Breathing. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
No,
All right,
you're
let's
good.
go to the next one. I just lost it. It's fine.
What makes you coziest?
Damn.
So much shit.
Right. Same.
I know this is like a gluttonous answer.
yeah.
I mean, I'll list a few things. Like one of them being my dog that's like right underneath me. It's mostly like things that make me feel some sort of simplicity because I want to complicate everything. You know, I want to make things hard for myself. I want to think things are going wrong, or I don't want to. I just do.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of it is like being with my like really tight friends. That's one of them. You know, I would say that Annie and I have a friend group of girls that are just so fucking funny. Like
Yeah.
they
I'm fully
like
aware.
they are the funniest
I
people
know.
ever. So like being with them, and like yesterday when we were talking, Annie, I literally said to her last night at dinner, I was like, all right, if I died, what story would you tell at my funeral? And we were talking about it, and I was tears.
Was like, tears.
Literally tears streaming down my face.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
You guys
Yeah.
are funny. Very funny.
And so that's something that makes me feel like super like warm and cozy.
Do you think it's like another word for cozy might be comfortability?
Yeah, or
like things that
safety.
make you
Safety.
comfortable.
Safety,
Yeah.
cozy. I mean, like, and then also I'm like mad cozy at the beach. Like I
Oh,
personally,
really? I'm not.
yeah, no, I and
Sand
like
in my junk and all
Sometimes
that.
see, like I
it-
love
yeah.
that
Ew.
shit.
Sweating,
No,
scared
not,
for
not
fucking
I mean,
skin
not
cancer.
sand in my bathing suit, but like I love being on the beach. I know that this sounds like super cliche, but if I am on a towel laying down at the beach and close my eyes and I'm by myself or like just with one other person and like listening to the sound of the ocean is that helps me get present.
Nice.
And then I kind of drift off. Like that's something that makes me
That's
super
fair.
cozy. You know, like my mom's chicken makes me feel super cozy.
Hell yeah! Shout out mom's
You know?
cooking. Yeah. No, I
Shout
mean,
out Dryer's roasted chicken.
I'm the same. And this also may sound cliche, but like nature. It's like at home when I was living, I lived at my mom's house for like 3 years. I still do until 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, congrats.
But like going on walks, you know,
Yeah.
really physical exercise like helps me. Like if I'm like there'll be, anyways. Like if I am in a very obviously anxious mood, I'll run. I never run, but I'll just like go with my dog, try to just like almost sweat it out, quote unquote. But even like 4th of July, I went camping for 4 nights, 5 days, and it was just like so wonderful to just be
amazing.
in nature, and it's just like
We went on a road trip. I mean, I was mad anxious in the car.
why?
Right. But
It was just a lot of energy.
Yeah.
yeah, lots of five personalities in one car.
We talked
which
about it
was
too.
so
Like we
fun.
would get to it was so fun and
Looks
so
like the
funny.
funnest trip. Yeah.
It was
But there
so
was
fun.
also like just moments where I was like, if I don't get out of this car, like I'm
Yeah.
about to jump out of the car.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm fine rolling
Yeah.
on the road.
I know, and I was actually Hannah didn't drive on that trip, and
Thank
I was
God.
actually grateful that I was driving for a lot of it because driving to me is like cozy.
Therapeutic.
Like I
Yeah.
feel
No,
cozy
oh,
when
you're
I'm
so
driving.
right,
Like I
actually.
love
Yeah,
driving,
I
and
love
I didn't
driving.
feel that until like
Not me. I'm sitting in the back, like and
Yeah.
we like stopped at some like plaza,
Yeah.
and there was like
Sick.
Annie like decided to go shopping in the middle of the road trip, and I
No rules.
Where?
decided to get when you use Jade's card at Lululemon.
oh yeah.
and I got like 5 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, and I'm like sitting in the back being like,
What
oh,
flavors?
kissing me off. I was super cozy, or super anxious, but when we were at like Moab and we were walking,
Yeah.
like crazy cozy.
Yeah.
You know, like it's crazy how it can switch
Yeah.
Sure.
so quick.
Also, like I feel
And the fresh air.
coziest when I am in a solid routine and like doing
Great
small things that are just involve myself, like just involve me doing things for myself.
Bingo.
Like if I when I'm making my bed every day, when I'm
Mhm.
like going to bed around the same time, I'm like taking off all my makeup, just like little things. If I do those things, cooking, like if I am consistently doing those things for myself, which it should be easy, but it's like fucking hard to keep up with that sort of routine,
I hear you.
especially when traveling.
Going to Mexico and London all the time.
I'm like all over the map. So when I'm just doing those things for myself every day, I'm like feeling super
I concur
cozy.
completely.
Yeah.
I was just thinking yesterday, like a time that I'm super cozy is when Annie and we will sit in bed and either we're like, before TikTok was a thing, it was like looking at like a photo stream from whatever we did together that weekend, or like videos from the weekend, those like Finstas that we post.
So
Recently, it's just been scrolling on our like For You pages on TikTok. I'm like crying, laughing in bed together, and
That's
it is
so cozy.
so cozy.
Well, that's
that
almost
guy,
like
the one that was like the silly goofy moon,
Yeah.
whatever that was, it was the funniest shit I'd ever seen.
yeah.
People on TikTok are like absolute legends.
No, I know, but see, like this is what I'm saying about you. Like if you
Legend.
just made your shit, what you do with your friends or your
Yeah.
Finstas, like it's the same shit that
I
you're
know.
saying. Other people would say that.
I know.
about
Well,
you.
we were talking about, I don't know if you remember when we were on, maybe you weren't on our Snapchat friends by then, but like senior year of high school, we went on vacation together. Our families were on vacation together. And we just decided to, it was kind of before like skincare routines from influencers were like a big deal, but it was kind of Kylie Jenner was like starting to do that.
Cosmetic.
And we thought it was so funny to like make a parody of. And so we would have these like 7-minute long Snapchat stories of everything we did. And we'd be like, we're getting ready. Like, and we would do a whole like
I'd literally be like,
influencer
Annie,
voice.
and she'd like, I'd like turn the camera and I'm like, here, and I like spray tan stuff on her, and she's like,
And so that whole,
It was
those like
hilarious.
7-minute stories, and they were like called What's Up Snapchat. Like we'd be like, What's Up Snapchat?
do you not remember these?
I don't think I
don't
sent
think you
them
were-
in.
Yeah.
I can pull out.
7
I'll
minutes
send
is
you
a
a clip.
long snap.
But,
yeah, I would love to see them.
That was kind of, we were talking about last night. My mom's like, why don't you just upload that to TikTok? Like that shit is so,
true.
funny.
So funny.
I know, like,
Yeah.
like we'd have
And
ones where it'd be like,
that's
I'm at
cozy as
dinner
fuck.
chugging wine, and I'm like
Right.
17, and it's like just stupid.
Yeah.
But like that's the shit that made us laugh at the time. you know?
Totally.
That's the shit that made us.
And
like,
what probably other people laugh at also. It's
Yeah.
not like you're just abnormally funny or your friend group is abnormally weird. It's like everyone like just fucks around
Right.
and like whatever,
Yeah.
fucking around with your friends in that where anything flies, you're not afraid to say anything. Yeah, obviously maybe if
Exactly.
you whipped out a camera, like it would change how you would act.
Right.
But it's like
right.
that's the raw shit people
Yeah.
love and certainly comfort. All right, let's do the next one.
How has creativity, art, fashion design helped with your anxiety?
I like that one. For me, I feel like when we kind of talked about
Yeah.
this just a bit ago, but when I'm focusing on something that is creative and where I'm making something, I completely kind of forget whatever else is bothering me. Like I'm very focused. I'm very much in the present moment. And it's also really rewarding to create something and to be like, yeah, I really like this. I'm proud of this. And then to also have other people relate to it and like it. It's just, I mean, that is huge for my anxiety. And it's also time consuming. Like if I put my time into creating shit, then I feel like it kind of fills my days and
Yeah,
also
you accomplish
just,
something.
yeah, you accomplish something, which helps me in general with
Yep.
my anxiety, just accomplishing things and feeling productive and feeling like I'm I don't know, I'm doing something that's good for me and hopefully benefits other people.
yeah.
Deep.
For myself, I feel like with Cozy But Anxious, I take a lot of the photos. Like Annie does a ton of the graphics and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and I
Oh, I love to hear about this.
I'll take the pictures. And I think for myself, you know, I get lonely like
Mhm.
very easily, even when I'm with groups of people. Like I could be out at night and still have this like lingering feeling of loneliness.
Yeah.
And so I think for me with taking photos, you know, like I'm capturing people expressing themselves. And by doing that, it creates like a very dope connection. You know, like I was taking pictures. I shot these 2 girls earlier this year. One of them was one of Annie's friends from middle school. And I had only known her like through Annie. We had never actually met. And by the end of the photo shoot, it was like, should we get dinner? What do you want to do right now? Like,
Right.
whatever. We had such a good time.
Right.
And it's just like super fun to get to know people.
Yeah, connecting
and,
activity.
Yeah, and eases my anxiety in that way. And then also allows me to feel like I have permission to express myself also.
I think that's a great point, because it's like during creative experiences, it's almost like you are being vulnerable without putting that label on it. And if you're working with people, it's like you're both vulnerable, and it almost like cuts all that bullshit of facade.
Right.
And then you're going straight just to...
Yeah, and we had like an hour and a half to get to know each other. Like literally, I'm like, okay, like we met up on the street, like on a random corner in Chinatown. I was like, put on this hoodie.
Sick, yeah.
And we just like, it was dope.
That's
Also,
sweet.
when like at least what I've been working on with Cozy But Anxious, which is creating all of these graphics and doing the website and that sort of thing and editing the photos, when the graphics are based around anxiety and based around expressing kind of these like shared feelings or hopefully shared feelings that talk about anxiety and just human nature, it's like kind of this joint thing of both like regular creating and then also expressing that these anxious feelings that I have. And that
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a insanely perfect outlet.
That
it
is
feels like for me, for my
cathartic.
anxiety. It's
That's
completely
unique.
cathartic.
That's great. Weirdly, inversely to what you're saying, it's my personal experience with creating, it's like now it's like almost a form of anxiety, because it's my job. It's also my
Right.
passion. It's like my identity, and it's all in this crock pot of the same compartment, when I think
Right.
it's important to have different compartments. And so like I can't make something now without filming, you know, like I can't draw or paint without making some sort of content around it,
And
you
you have
know?
a big following.
Right. And when you also monetize art, like
Yeah. And
it
so
it can get
so it
tricky,
gets
I'm sure.
sticky
Yeah.
in that way, but it is like there's no, like, this is personal, but like there's nothing that gives me more affirmation than my work, you know. It's
Yeah.
like not having sex with girls, not like how much money I'm making or like what people think of me. It's like, you know, like when I make something and I'm amped about it, like, you know, that's like I'll have the best night's sleep ever, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not like if I don't make something I love, it's the inverse, but it's like that's, and maybe that's even too much. Maybe I place too much validation within myself in my artwork. But it's totally true, and it's
You're
like
doing what you love.
sure, but it's like I'm saying, it's like this push and pull of both sides. It's like now it's like, oh, what do I need to make? I need to make things
Yeah.
that people like, or
Right.
to benefit my business, or am I just trying to do something that creatively fulfills me, you know,
Yeah.
authentically? So it gets tricky, but I think there's a lot of people maybe like you guys who, you know, were interested. I think everyone has a creative side to them,
Yeah.
and to somehow tap into it, like you said before,
Mm-hmm.
through some way.
Yeah,
You should do it because it's fucking awesome.
definitely.
Number 4, we're ripping.
Last
Yeah,
one.
wow.
Ways to cope with social anxiety without alcohol.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
That's
me.
that's
Look
a-
at Wayne. He
yeah.
just got all hyper.
I'll answer for you.
Um,
Come here, sausage.
He's a Tootsie
Okay.
Roll.
wow. Ways to cope with social anxiety without alcohol. There's a lot of things. Like, something that I learned really early on in my sobriety that I still use to this day is if I don't like it, I can leave. You know? Like,
Sounds so obvious.
yeah, it sounds
Right.
obvious, but when you're there and you're trying to force yourself
No,
to
I know.
socialize and you don't have to drink and this and that and all
Yeah.
that stuff, like, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And always reminding myself that, like, I can dip at any point if I want, you know?
Yeah.
Also, I actually haven't been practicing this recently, and I've noticed an increase in my anxiety because I haven't been doing it. Normally, before I go out, I tell myself a time that I want to leave by.
That's an interesting strategy.
So for me, it's like, okay, like 12:45 is late enough for me tonight. And I'll leave. And that way I can like, you know, socialize with people like before, you know, nothing. It's the same shit after 1 a.m. like, or like 2 a.m., you know, like.
Yeah.
Except people are drunker.
That's what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
same shit, different
Same
day.
story,
Like
yeah.
I don't, you know, there's absolutely no reason for me to be there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so if I say to myself, like, leave by 12:45, I'm out at 10, I go out for 2.5 hours. Like, I have a great time. I go home. I'm still able to wake up and do my thing.
Yeah.
You know? And I haven't been doing that. I've been staying out till like 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh, really?
Like later than me.
Yeah, later than her.
Saturday.
Because you're having a lot of fun, or you feel pressured to do so?
At first, or depends on the night. Mostly because I'm having fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
But the other weekend, it was totally pressure. Like at 2 a.m., I was like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
And like, and I think also something that helps me a lot is like each night is going to be different in the sense of the way that you feel going into the night, and to not judge myself for it. Yeah. So like if I have really like a great time on Thursday night, but I'm anxious on Saturday, or the other way around, like that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to like prove to myself that I can do it, or like whatever it is. And so I think just like having awareness about the freedom that you have in terms of like, I can go to bed at this time, I can leave, I don't even have to go.
I think that's a good strategy. I like that. Even for people who do drink and like to have fun, it's like set a
Yeah,
time or
exactly.
set like a drink limit. That's a little more in the weeds, but.
And also something else that I find super helpful is, you know, like going out with someone who knows that you're not drinking.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's really
you know,
important.
like I just like, I mean, most of the time I'm going out with Annie. She knows, like, you know, and even last week, like once again, something super, super hard for me to do is to ask for help. And I literally said to my best group of friends last weekend, you know, like I need you guys to support me a little more with my sobriety. You know, like I would really appreciate if you asked about it, or like whatever, like gave a shit. Like I was anxious in the moment. Check in on me.
Totally.
You
Yeah.
know,
No, that's great.
and like
It's hard
and
to do. You're right.
And I was so like, I had a lot of shame surrounding that, like asking, and then once I asked, like, felt so much better.
So you're fucking best friends, yeah.
And I think that's something that helps me cope a lot too. And then, you know, for me, it's like my recovery comes first. You know, no matter what, like absolutely no matter what the circumstances, it's like my sobriety and then everything else after.
Yeah.
And so if I keep that in check by like doing the things that I do to stay sober and stay in like a spiritually fit place for myself, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Nice.
You know, and I don't feel as anxious because I'm content with myself and who I am.
Right.
So it's like more things that I do to help me with social anxiety are actually not when I'm like out.
Right.
It's more things to like prepare me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Valid. Yeah, I can't really speak to that really, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been drinking less and less, smoking less and less weed just because.
Feel better.
Yeah, I just don't want it. I'm working.
Yeah.
I don't desire it. It's like, even when I do smoke now, it's like, literally my whole life, it was like, oh, everything's going to be better when you're stoned, or like, you're just going to smoke, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
I'll watch this movie, it will be, you know.
It'll be
like,
better.
And it's not.
Food will taste better.
Yeah, everything. Anything. I literally am walking down the street.
This music sounds better.
Yeah, and right now it's like, it's a burden. I get paranoid almost instantly. Even if I'm on the beach hanging with my friends, it's like, I'm just like, oh, I just keep forgetting, but it's that same story I tell myself.
Right.
Totally. I mean,
weed's not my.
I have a weird thing. Like I went through a phase where I absolutely loved it, and then
And then met the devil.
Yeah, I greened out at Boss Baby and started projectile vomiting.
Wait, the new one that just came out?
No,
the
old one. The old one.
And you still were like, I fucking love this movie, Boss Baby. I'm like, didn't you like throw up and seize when you saw it in
like
the
basically,
theaters?
like I took way too much of an edible, and I actually had her sister pick me up. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Sounds treacherous.
Yeah, I woke up. I was stoned for like 3 days. It was
There is
fucking
nothing
horrible.
like that. It is.
And then like a year and a half later, I ended up getting sober. But after that, weed was never the same.
I
Yeah.
hear ya. Great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, throwing up at Boss Baby, totally.
Well, everyone has those stories. But this has been wonderful. Did you guys
Thank
have a good
you.
time?
I had so much fun.
I had a great time. Seriously.
Me too.
We
I
should
love
do these
you.
like once a month. Thanks. I love
know.
you both.
So
I'm also your
down.
biggest fans.
Thank
And
you.
I got
I'm
your
your
back,
biggest fan.
right?
You're your biggest fan.
I got your back.
Thank you.
So I guess everyone should stay tuned. Follow Cozy But
Yeah.
Anxious because you're gonna start penetrating TikTok like you've never
We
seen
are.
before.
We are.
No, take your time.
Exciting.
I'll
I'll
take
be
my
the
sweet
annoying
time.
like feeler,
Good,
but
good,
do
good.
whatever you want. Obviously, it's your life.
Of course.
Your
Yeah, but
Your brain,
really,
but-
really value your opinion. So
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you.
Yeah,
I
me too.
love you guys.
Love you.
Usually I give little Yu-Gi-Oh cards to the people on podcast for my collection. So
Oh
Oh,
wow, thank you.
this one
I'm
was for
honored.
Annie, and they're just like really nerdy pieces of swag.
Thank you.
So do what you will with them. Using
cannot be
bookmark.
destroyed.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let's read the title of each one.
Sky Striker Ace.
Dra-
Kagari.
Oh,
So sick.
Soto.
mine's
so dope.
Dragon Maid Lorepar.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's just those are monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, I think they're just cool little gifts to give
Yeah,
people on the
no,
pod.
I'm loving it.
Oh, you got
Thank
like a little
you.
blonde girl.
Little blondie.
I
Oh,
have
you
a
got-
green
you got a
dragon.
dragon.
It's not all about the visual representation, but a
Right.
little.
I mean, I think I have fiery energy.
Your
You
hair's
do.
really blonde right now. I was just noticing
Yeah.
that. Is it extra blonde or did you
I
dye it?
mean, I have salsa on my shirt. I got it colored,
Not.
and
I
then
love it.
No, I think it's.
and
looks
then I
drop dead golds.
thank you.
But I was like, oh, is your hair that
How
would be
you
blonde
doing?
usually? What you doing?
No, I got it
tonight?
colored, and then I've been in the sun a lot, so then it gets lighter naturally too.
Right, that's what I was.
So it's
thinking.
like a mix, cause it definitely wasn't this blonde when I got it colored,
Mm.
but I dig it.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
into it.
That's all she
Alright.
wrote. Episode 4 in the bag.
That's all
Thank
she
you.
wrote,
Woo!
people.
And maybe hopefully many more. I'm serious. Like
Yeah,
it could be.
no,
I mean,
same.
before this is another tangent we don't need to go down. But I was trying to convince them to do a podcast with me, and I thought it'd be so fun. And obviously,
Right.
logistically, that's not maybe possible. But to have you guys on once per month,
But,
or just
yeah.
do whatever.
I absolutely
Just
adore
have fun,
you.
'cause I
I
love
am
it.
very into that.
And
Let's
selfishly,
do it.
helps me with my, thinking about my own self and my own feelings. It's like, it's nothing but beneficial and fun.
And fun as
It was
fuck.
so fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Good, clean, solid fun.
Absolute
Absolutely
rigor.
fucking
J'adore.
amazing.
Yeah. It's still
Totally awesome. I had the best time.
good.
And I'm not being sarcastic.
And we're gonna take
No,
some
no,
photos,
never
do some little
Yeah,
content.
let's do it.
Content.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, peace, everybody.
All right, my guys.
Capture that ass. Okay, bye.